morning. Specifically, today is Thursday, and it's just a wonderful day. We'll start off on a good note, as we promised that today will be another interesting package. I'm Eunice Johnson.
And I am Inten, and I'd like to welcome you formally to Daybreak Nigeria Thursday edition. And of course, we are sure that it's going to be worth the while if you stay with us from now on till when the program is over.
Yes, basically we'll be looking at different issues and of course different segments ranging from fitness, entertainment, sports, and just name it. So you should stick around and enjoy every bit of the program. Absolutely.
Of course, we go straight into our concerns for today. And yeah, yesterday the governors met. Governors of the 36 states, they met, and they have breaking news, heartbreaking news for us, that they cannot pay 30,000 naira minimum wage.
Yeah, and we hear that they say only
Lagos can pay.
It's really surprising because I remember when the debate on the minimum wage issue was going on, I remember the governor of Benue State was saying, just come up with any figure and I'm good, you know. So I wonder where the issue of, you know, not being able to meet up, and they're even saying that if they have to meet up, then some workers would have to pay the price.
Yeah, they have to job cuts and all of that. It's pretty much sad that we're getting to hear this from our governors. And I heard that there was a time I read, sometime last week, a couple of governors had endorsed the 30,000 naira. I remember my state governor, Kosiva, was like, I'll pay. Akwa Ibom State governor had endorsed.
Some governors
Ebonyi State and stuff like that. So we had a couple of governors who had come up to say openly, we are ready to pay 30,000. So why is this coming now? Or is it that they didn't, you know, check their show of it, or were they under pressure to say that to impress people or something? You know, it's an election year, you can't take away politics in it. But it's pretty much sad that something that started from 65,000, it's dropped. In fact, some people banded 90-something thousand until here we are, 30,000.
And surprisingly, even if the 30,000 naira is approved, the question is, how will a common man survive on
with
that?
30,000 naira.
If you want to break it into a full month, 1,000 naira per day, you are going to buy food, you're going to clothe yourself. If you're mobile, you buy fuel. If
you need to buy subscription for your TV
for your TV, film,
and some months are 31 days.
Exactly.
So there's one extra day that you need to save from it. You know, a bag of rice is about 16,000. So how do you do all of that? It's pretty much, you know, sad. But I just hope that one day they'll look for, you know, a meeting point and accept this little token of 30,000 naira.
Yes, it's actually a token. It is.
All right. That's how we'll take one step further to go to the fitness center where Hannah is standing by with something special. Let me guess the exercise for today. Well, let's find out from Hannah.
Hey guys, welcome once again to another super exciting episode of the program TVN Fitness Center. I'm your girl Uluti. On today's episode, I'll be taking you through full body workout step up. You know, we are going to step up and just do the full body workout. So I want you to stay with me as we go through this exercise. I'll be right back after the break.
Yeah, welcome back from the gym, yeah, actually.
Oh, Tia at the gym, you know, she's just like so into what she's doing, and she doesn't even want to know what's happening around her. She's
concentrated. She's good at what she's doing. You know? And I was just looking at the last lap of it during the press up thing and all of that.
That was actually World Cup, man.
Yeah, that's stuff. That's stuff like a lot of guys cannot do. But all right, thumbs up, Luchi. Thanks a lot for that segment.
So we'll now move on straight to the AM news with Priscilla. She's standing by.
AM News, I am Priscilla, a worm. The chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, has been warned by the national chairman of the People's Democratic Party, Uche Secondus, against conducting an election that is not free and fair in 2019. Secondus, while hosting the election team of the Economic Community of West Africa States, which was led by Mohamed Kanta, at the party's national campaign headquarters in Maitama. Abuja stated that the manipulation of the 2019 election will enhance crisis in the country and the INEC chairman will be held responsible. In the statement released through his media advisor Ike Abonye, Secondus alleged that the commissioner used the governorship elections in Ekiti and Osun states as the practice to rig the 2019 election, alleging that the rigging agenda is propelled by the security agencies, especially the current Inspector General of Police, Ibrahim Idris, whom he described as biased. The Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission, ICPC, has made promise to look into the allegation brought before it against the national chairman of the All Progressive Congress, Adams Oshiomhole, during the recently conducted primaries of the ruling party. Rasheedat Okodua, the spokesperson of the agency, realized that during the protest by some members of the APC under the aegis of Coalition for New Nigeria, where some aggrieved members of the party stormed the ICPC headquarters demanding the resignation and persecution of Oshiomhole. The spokesperson of the agency, while addressing the protesters, promised that the commission will act immediately on the petition against the national chairman of the party. The decision of ICPC to investigate Oshiomhole is coming days after the national chairman of the ruling party was allegedly quizzed by the Department of State Security for some impropriety in the conduct of the party's primaries in some states. The Federal University of Technology, Akure chapter of the Academic Staff Union of University, has warned the governor of Ekiti State, Dr. Kayode Fayemi, to stay clear of the affairs of the members of its union. The governor had asserted that the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari has done well in meting out reasonable treatment of lecturers in the country. The chairman of the ASU Futa chapter, Dr. Bola Oniya, in a press statement alleged that the members of the union were finding things difficult since the emergence of President Muhammadu Buhari. ASU said Buhari's government inherited a budgetary allocation of 9% of the sector and reduced it to 7% in the present 2018 budget. The chapter admonished the governor to face his duties as the governor of Ekiti State by saying to the masses and the public university in his domain in order to have a different mindset about the ASU's matter. Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, has on Wednesday received the full backing of the Igbo nation as Southeast elders, comprising political, traditional, and religious rulers, as well as women groups, took to the decision in Enugu to endorse the candidature of Atiku Abubakar and Peter Obi as president and vice president ahead of the 2019 elections. In a 5-point communique issued at the end of the summit with the theme Indigo 2019 and beyond held in Enugu, the leaders said that the position was based on restructuring agenda put on the table at Atiku and Obi, which 4 zones of the country had agreed on. The communique, as read by a legal luminary, Olisa Agbakoba San, revealed that the support of the Igbo for Atiku's ambition was due to his restructuring Agenda Times multimedia partners, CNN, to debut following. That was the AM News. Thanks for watching. I am Priscilla Iwurum. Daybreak continues shortly. To stay with us.
Of leadership is a factor in this regard to the success of the fight against the Boko Haram terrorists. And then you look at also the factor of morale.
Priscilla, for letting us in on all the news we need to know that's making the round today.
Absolutely. Let's go to the next segment, which is the newspaper review segment, where we bring you all of the details trending on the front pages of the tabloids today. And I have the Daily Trust, I have the Leadership, and I have the Sporting Life.
Yes, and I also have Daily Sun, Blueprint, and the Punch newspaper.
And of course, you take the lead.
We'll be starting off with the Daily Sun newspaper. And right beside the masthead, alleged fraud, ICPC to probe Oshomole. That story is on page 4. And right beneath is a rider, pledges to look into petitions as APC dismisses protest. Underneath is 1,110 dead as cholera ravages 29 states. That story is on page 6 of the newspaper. Now that is scary.
Absolutely.
Governors Forum speaks. And right beneath is a banner headline, states will go bankrupt if governors pay 30,000 naira minimum wage. That story is on page 6 of Daily Sun newspaper. And right beneath also is a picture story of women and children during a medical outreach organized by the Nigerian Army Corps of Artillery, Kachia, Kaduna State yesterday. We have on the right side of the picture story 2019 Guba candidates. So if you want to check out who the gubernatorial candidates for 2019 are, you should check the front page of Daily Sun newspaper for the table.
All right. Moving on now to the next paper I have is a Daily Trust. And Daily Trust just below the masthead, Nandi Kano. Court orders for feature of 300 million naira bonds. Find that story on page 3. And just to the right of that story, NNPC fires over 80 senior staff. Details on page 6. The banner headline on the Daily Trust this morning: choose between 30,000 naira and job cuts. Governors tell Labour. That story continues on page 6. And the picture story on the Daily Trust is that of residents at a medical outreach program organized by the Nigerian Army Corps of Artillery in Kachia, Kaduna State yesterday. And below that picture story, sex for marks. ICPC arraigns ex-OAU lecturer Monday. Details on page 3. Oshomole should quit politics, says Saraki. Find out why on page 13. And finally, on the Daily Trust this morning, investors to sink $73.08 billion in 65 projects in FCT and 18 states. Find details on page 17 of the Daily Trust newspaper this morning.
All right, moving on to Blueprint newspaper on the top right. Sex for Max. Randy ex-OAU professor seeks plea bargain. That is on page 6. So I do not know what he's trying to bargain for. But whatever happens, sex for Max, that speaks volumes. Also, we still have lecturers who do that. That's interesting. Senate alleges $5 billion extra budgetary spending in 2015. Uncovers fresh $1.151 billion withdrawals from NLNG. You know, the story starts on the front page and continues on page 6 of the Blueprint newspaper. Right beside it, FEC approves 3.1 billion naira airport systems, 272 million naira for assault rifles. Details of that on page 18. Regarding minimum wage, we can't pay 30,000 naira, governors declare. You see details of that on page 6. Say only Lagos has the capacity, others will go bankrupt. That's laughable actually, because
we don't know how 12,000 times the number of workers will make you go bankrupt as a state.
Yes. Flying private jet, not affluence. Another rider is to meet Buhari on way out. Details of all of this on page 6 of the Blueprint newspaper. And right there is a small headline: Ogoni cleanup begins November ending, says federal government. You find details of that on page 5. Moving on beneath is a picture story featuring Kano State Governor Ganduje presenting a budgetary proposal to the State House of Assembly in Kano State yesterday. And right under the picture story, how we will conduct 2019 polls, says INEC. So if you want to find out how INEC intends to conduct the polls in 2019, look at page 7 of the Blueprint newspaper. Kano, court threatens to arrest Abaribe, others shorties. Details of that on page 14. We are ready to probe Oshomole if ellipsis. So if you want to find out what the ellipsis covers, you should check it out on page 20. That statement is coming from ICPC. Strike. ASU FG in Make or Mar Pali today. Details of that on page 6. 89,000 premature babies die annually in Nigeria. Sad one there. Details of that on page 17. And those are the stories making headlines on Blueprint newspaper today.
Alright, let's move on to the next paper, which is the leadership, which I have right now. And just below the nameplate, CBN refunds 73 billion naira to bank customers. Find that story on page 5. And FEC OKs 272 million naira arms for prison guards. That story is found on page 2. And the leading headline there on the leadership this morning: rigging allegations set APC and PDP on war path. Card readers already manipulated, says PDP. Accusation baseless, meant to whip up sentiments, says APC. That story is found on page 4. 30,000 naira new minimum wage not practicable, says governors. The story begins on the front page and continues on page number 5. And the picture story is that of President Muhammadu Buhari on arrival at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, after a 5-day official visit to Paris, France yesterday. And below the picture story, there are other headlines: Kanu, Abaribe, and 2 others to deposit 300 million naira bond. Find that story on page 6. Why Sokoto Deputy Governor resigned? Details, page 11. Navy launches Operation Chase Thief. Find that story on page 6. And strike, federal government and ASU meet today. That story is found on page 5. And those are all the headlines on the front page of the Leadership newspaper this morning. Operation Chase Thief.
Reminds me of, then they came up with Python
Dance 1, Python Dance 2.
What's the other one? Ayema Fatuma. That's cats race.
And of course, Lafia Dole.
And now
they are always coming up with operations and all of that.
Okay, let's see how productive all
that
those
will be.
operations will be.
Yeah.
Autumn to name primary school after rape victim Ochanya. Details of that you'll find on page 10, and that is the first headline on the Punch newspaper today. Beneath it is Senate alleges fresh $1.15 billion illegal withdrawals from NLNG accounts. You find details of that on page 2. APC primaries, anti-Oshomole protesters storm ICPC. Details of that on page 44. Obasanjo calls for constitution amendment to allow youth participate in politics. Details of that on page 10. I believe that's following the not too young to run bill. 40 microphones, reps adjourn for third time in 1 week because of 40 microphones.
Yeah.
In the House of Reps.
Because everybody is not able to make contributions. Some microphones are faulty and all of that, but that's...
You find details of that on page 10. NECO releases new timetable for November-December examinations. The details of that on page 10. Governors to Labour expect sacking if we must pay 30,000 naira minimum wage. That story is on page 2, and beneath is... Actually, there are 2 picture stories here of pupils taking lessons at the IDP camp in Kushingoro, Abuja. And you could actually see that this is a good development. The IDPs are not left alone. Education is actually going to meet them right in the camps. That's something good. Offer bank robberies. Suspects arraigned. Council withdrawals. Details of that on page 8. Federal government's $2.86 billion Eurobond oversubscribed by $6.6 billion, says ministry. You find details of that on page 44. Local international investors eye ARIC and ERO. Details of that on page 23. Strike. Federal government ASU meet today. Union tackles Fire Me. You find details of that story on page 8 and 13. Family accuses Lagos Hospital of causing asthmatic patient's death. Details of that on page 4 and 5. ICPC to arrange sex for Mark Professor on Monday. You find details of that on page 44 of the Punch newspaper.
And the final paper we have today is, of course, the Sporting Live. And let's look at some of the headlines on the paper. Vidal linked with shock Juve return. Find that on the back page. And 10 most valuable centre backs. Umtiti rated number 1. Find the story on the back page there. And January moves Sanchez to push for Man United exit. Also on the back page. Giro set for myself move also in January. And 2019 AFCON qualifiers. Tau vows to wreck Eagles again. He was the person that scored the 2 goals that gave South Africa victory last year against us. So he's saying he's going to do it again. I hope it doesn't repeat itself. Operation Conquer Bafana on November 17. Eagles train without the fans. And some riders there. No injuries in camp. All 23 players trained. Delegation heads for Johannesburg today at 5 p.m. Ihanacha boasts Super Eagles can beat South Africa. Make sure you make it real. That's on the back page. Success to lead Eagles attack. Onyekweru Chikweze fight for Eagles number 9 shared Oshitane 2. And of course, South Africa targets 20,000 fans to boo Eagles as Bafana takes on Super Eagles on Saturday. I'm sure our fans are getting ready to go to South Africa and boo them if it is necessary. Well, those are the stories we have for you this morning on the Sporting Live newspaper, and that concludes the newspaper segment. But it's like You know, but the booing thing, it works actually, because if you're with the ball abusing, woo, and all of that, you could dampen your morale.
Exactly, yeah. So that's probably a strategy.
It could be a very workable strategy. So the Super Eagles should also do something that you get a lot of fans to cheer them on.
To cheer and also boo the
other person, that when the boo comes from, you know, it becomes a boo-boo thing.
Yeah, so you might want to visit newspaper stands to catch up on all the details making news on today's tabloids.
Absolutely. And up next is business, as we join Osisi Oma Chinwendu Osisi Ogu Chinwendu for the business news.
For almost a decade, the Nigerian army have given their all to ensure that our dear country is not overrun by Boko Haram insurgents. Some have in the process paid the ultimate price, while many will forever live with indelible scars occasioned by their determination to protect the country, no matter the hurdle. Despite these, they have remained resolute and undaunted, and today, all territories the insurgents once took control of have been recaptured and normalcy restored. And now, for the first time in a long time, the end of Boko Haram is foreseeable. Therefore, the wisest thing for the remaining insurgents to do is to surrender today or face total destruction from the army. Remember, the Nigerian army will stop at nothing to ensure that total peace is restored in all parts of the country. So, be wise and embrace peace today, or get ready to be ruthlessly dealt with. This message is brought to you by the Coalition on Conflict Resolution and Human Rights in Nigeria.
Welcome to Business News. I am Chiwendi Osisiago. The Naira on Tuesday appreciated to 363.71 Naira per dollar in the investors and exporters window, even as the volume of dollars traded rose by 65%. Data from Financial Market Dealer Quotation showed that indicative exchange rate for the window dropped to 363.71 Naira per dollar yesterday from 363.89 Naira per dollar on Monday, translating to 18 kobo of the Naira. The volume of dollars traded on Tuesday in the window rose by 65% to $147.41 million from $89.23 million on Monday. However, the Naira yesterday was stable at 361 Naira per dollar in the parallel market. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo on Tuesday defended Nigeria's $73 billion debt, despite admitting that the debt profile grew by another $10 billion between 2015 and this year. In 2015, the Vice President said the debt size was $63 billion, growing by $10 billion to hit $73 billion in 2018. However, Osinbajo dismissed those who expressed such fears and gave an analysis on why he believed debts were not the country's major problems, and argued that the country's debts rose the sharpest between 2010 and 2014, when oil prices are also quite high. He said people had misconceptions when they argued that the present administration of President Muhammadu Buhari was piling up more debt than its predecessors. Osinbajo dismissed those who expressed such fears and gave an analysis on why he believed debts were not the country's major problems, and argued that the country's debts rose the sharpest between 2010 and 2014, when oil prices were also quite high. He explained that in 2010, Nigeria's debt was $35 billion. In 2011, it was $41 billion. In 2012, it was $48 billion. In 2013, it became $64 billion. 2014, it rose to $67 billion. 2015, it fell to $63 billion. 2016, $57 billion. 2017, $70 billion. 2018, it is $73 billion. Adding that the difference between 2015 and now is $10 billion. The Vice President further argued that before people reach the conclusion that Nigeria was piling up much debts, they must also check the debt to gross domestic product rates. The Debt Management Office has said the federal government will auction by subscription 115 billion naira worth of bonds on November 21, 2018. In a circular by the Debt Management Office on its website on Tuesday, the breakdown of the figure revealed that 35 billion naira 5-year reopening bond to mature in April 2023 would be offered at 12.75%. Another 35 billion naira 7-year reopening bond to mature in March 2025 would be auctioned at 13.53%, while 45 billion naira 10 years bonds to mature in February 2028 would be auctioned at 13.98%. The DMO said that the unit of sale would be 1,000 per unit, subject to a minimum subscription of 50 million, 1,000, and in multiples of 1,000 naira thereafter. However, on the interest rate, it stated that for reopener of previously issued bonds, successful bidders will pay a price corresponding to the yield to maturity bid that clears the volume being auctioned. The DMO added that a total of 96.74 billion naira was allotted to bidders at the auction, and the proceeds would provide additional financing for the implementation of the 2018 Appropriation Acts. The Standards Organization of Nigeria on Monday gave highlights in line with the Nigerian industrial standards and codes of practices for beans processing across the country. The Director General, SAN, Osita Aboloma, in a statement to commend a consumer for reporting a beans vendor who preserves beans with pesticides, stated that the standards are relevant to Nigerian industrial standards and codes of practices for beans along the value chain to take care of issues concerning the proper preservation of the crop from planting to the table, while also assuring the safety of consumers. He enumerated the standards and codes of practice as follows: Standard for dry beans, NIS 1030-2018, Code of Good Agricultural Practice, Planting of Dry Beans, NCP 065-2018, Code of Good Practice, Harvesting of Dry Beans, NCP 067-2018, Code of Practice for Packaging of Dry Beans, NCP 064-2018, Code of Practice, Storage and Transportation of Dry Beans, NCP 066-2018. The Sun Healthman urged Nigerians in general to take greater interest in their welfare by reporting to relevant regulatory and security agencies any suspected unwholesome, substandard, or life-endangering products or practices.
Welcome to Living Treasures Academy. Enjoy a conducive and serene learning environment. Qualified and experienced teachers. Equipped computer laboratory and library. Secured atmosphere. Extracurricular activities. An all-embracing curriculum for total development of the child. Comprehensive education for leadership. Join us today from crèche to secondary levels. Living Treasures Academy, committed to excellence.
Yeah, welcome back from the business segment, and I'm sure you've seen everything you needed to see, and it should guide you in making your business decisions as it were.
And you've gotten to know the top losers, top gainers,
and all of that. Yes,
making all the money is in the business sector.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on to healthy living with Diane, and today, guess what she has for us? Breakfast. She wants to tell us the importance of taking breakfast. So stick around.
Today we'll be looking at reasons why we shouldn't skip breakfast. The importance of eating a healthy breakfast and the positive effects on health. The meaning of breakfast is to break the fast between dinner and the meal eaten after a person wakes up the next morning. If you think of the time between dinner and breakfast, it is taken to be a very long break. The word breakfast is fitting. For most people, it can last up to 12 hours since their last meal, and yet most people are very fast to skip it as they rush out of the door. Breakfast being the first meal of the day, it is as important as water to your body. Doctors recommend that you should take a bowl of breakfast 2 hours after waking up. Healthy breakfast may be your own problem solver, which you have been looking for. Make your morning meal your priority, and shortly you'll enjoy a new health. Now let's look at the 10 benefits of eating breakfast and why it should be considered the most important meal of the day. It boosts your energy to start the day. Everyone should start their day right by eating as many vitamins and other nutrients as possible. The great thing about breakfast is there are so many common breakfast foods that can be considered superfoods because of their nutrition value. Example, egg, whole grains, vitamin C, and lots more. It enables a sharper focus. I mean, nobody wants to be in a serious-minded environment, like a classroom or on the job, and wants to be distracted by hunger. The last thing you should want on your mind is food, because once the thought of a sumptuous bowl of cereal with a side of fruits or yogurt enters your brain, you definitely won't focus on anything else. Eating breakfast will enable you more focused and productive until it's lunchtime to refuel at lunch. Don't let a noisy stomach distract you. Breakfast also helps reduce morning crankiness. Sometimes feeling cranky in the morning is understandable. You probably will want to stay in bed longer. You don't feel like going to work, and what people forget is that you are starving. Imagine not eating for 8 to 12 hours during the day. You probably won't be the approachable person during the day. Eat breakfast to enable you to deal with moodiness or stress for the day. It boosts metabolism. When you sleep, your body metabolism slows down. The only way to start your metabolism for the day is to start off the right way with a healthy breakfast. This will enable your body to start burning calories from the beginning of the day, rather than in the middle of it, after you've eaten lunch. Eating breakfast every morning can help you lower cholesterol. When you skip breakfast, you are creating a chain within your body. You slow down your metabolism. Fat is stored longer in your body. You have a higher tendency to overeat at your next meal. You gain weight and your cholesterol goes up. Furthermore, eat breakfast to lose weight. One of the greatest benefits of eating breakfast every morning is you can lose weight by doing so. Studies have shown that an increase in weight is commonly associated with skipping breakfast. A morning meal helps keep your blood sugar level stable during the day. I personally think if I have a good breakfast, I could go on without food for the rest of the day. John Gotter also said, all happiness depends on a leisurely breakfast. And Egil said, breakfast is everything. Okay, we have come to the end of today's episode on healthy living. I am Diana Udra.
have breakfast before coming to work this morning?
That question was like,
so
when she was talking, I felt guilty.
Yeah, I felt same too. Okay, then don't worry. Tomorrow we will eat breakfast before we come. In fact, I will eat heavy one for that matter.
I do not know how. What about heavy breakfast? Although she talked about different kinds of meals you could have for breakfast, but eat heavy so that it will take you the whole day.
Yeah, in case I don't have lunch, I can just make do till dinner time, something like that.
Exactly.
Anyway. Okay, so let's move on now. Up next is entertainment, and Ginika Tasiobi is on standby.
You're welcome to the ENT segment of Daybreak Nigeria. I am Ginika Tasiobi. Thank you so much for being a part of the program, especially the entertainment segment. We're moving on to Davido. Now, this just is that Davido will no longer be holding his annual end-of-the-year concert at the Accra Atlantic this December as previously planned. According about the concert last year, the concert was held at the traditional home of major events in Lagos, the Ecole Hotel, which witnessed a packed capacity with the hall unable to contain the fans who had gathered. This facilitated the need for a bigger venue, leading to his intention to move it to the Accra Atlantic for this year's edition. Davido also revealed that this year's edition, tagged City of David concert, will however go ahead on December 27, 2018, available for his use as it was not approved. Davido then followed it up with another tweet which hinted that he knew the reason behind the denial and it was political. Now, it will be recorded during the recently held elections in Osun State, Davido fully aligned with the People Democratic Party (PDP) in support of his uncle, Senator Ademola Adeleke, who was running for governorship of the state. Now, if you put 2 and 2 together, you would see that Eco Hotel, APC, and Davido's uncle, PDP. Well, let's leave it that way. I don't even want to get involved. Now, moving on, award-winning Nigerian singer Falz has filed papers in court challenging the ban placed by the National Broadcasting Commission (NBC) on his song "This Is Nigeria." The court documents were filed through Falz's lawyer Adepetu Caston Martins Abo and Sheon Askar's law on November 6, 2018, 3 months after the NBC sent a letter to Jodad Global Communication Limited in Jos, sanctioning them for playing Falz's song "This Is Nigeria" and banning the song from being played on radio along with other songs. In the letter sent to Jodad Global Communication Limited, NBC stated that the reason for banning "This Is Nigeria" is that the lyrics are vulgar and in contravention of the NBC code. A lot of Nigerians, including celebrities, criticized NBC for the ban, stating it was exemplary damage